What's going on, guys? Rybommy Teacher in the house, and we're back with the GPL week number 2 power rankings for the Hoenn League. And by we, of course, I mean myself and my co-host Trancel. How you doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad. Always a pleasure to be here.
Alright, and of course, for those who are not familiar, the power rankings are done on an objective basis with win-loss and differential being your main tiebreakers. And if any instances where two people have the exact same score, which is in one incident this week, we'll break down the individual factors which led to our decision as and when we get there. Bear in mind, of course, these are our opinions, of course, so feel free to comment if you disagree with us, but in a nice way in the case of one particular individual, which we'll get to later. But with all that being said, coming in at number 10 is gonna be Ted for Prez, living up to his showdown name of Hi I Need Help, as he really kind of got played all over the place. This is the second week in a row I've been far from convinced by the Verizian. I don't think this Verizian player has been good in either game so far. I'm still not sold on this pick as a whole. Generally speaking, it just looked like he just got outplayed completely. And then Drake's ult decided it didn't want to miss and just basically sweep him.
Yeah, and I just noticed because I remember him using it, the Wheezing Galar in this is actually a Mimikyu that he kind of played weird at the end and probably could have killed the Dragon's ult, but he clicked Shadow Claw instead of Play Rough. But yeah, it just seemed very strange, like as Rory said about the Verizion, it was like a weird attempt to stop Aegislash or like Cavalion setting up with this taunt roar, but it can't really even touch Aegislash, so it just seemed kind of useless. And then the Hitmontop, he made it banded, but it just couldn't kill the Slowking with triple axle, so yeah, a bit of an unfortunate showing here.
Yeah, definitely something we're going to need to see a step up for Ted if we're going to see him pick up some wins. He's got a pretty offensive team, but he's just not being able to pilot it correctly at the moment. Hopefully we start seeing some adjustment there.
Yeah, and yeah, the Drowlodon kind of just completely just got outplayed every turn, didn't get to do anything. The Porygon Z, which I thought was decent, just died turn 2 to a sucker punch. Just, yeah, never looked good.
Yeah, hopefully. I can't remember who he's playing next. I'm just going to look now just to make sure I don't get it wrong.
Skinny.
So that should be a matchup. He should be looking to pick up a win. Skinny's been far from convincing himself, so we'll see what happens in that one. Alright, coming in at number 9 then is gonna be the Lord Throwmaster himself. We're gonna have to call him Choco Stomp this season, I think, considering he's the one that seems to be throwing. There's always one. Definitely very, very scary signs. We see it 2 games now where he's using a team of 4 of upper tier mons, and it just hasn't worked. At this point, I watched Exo's video. I think he pretty much nailed it on the head himself, so I don't really want to rub it in his face. But he's definitely changed his team. He's had to. He's had no choice but to change his team at this point if he wants to salvage this season. He's done it before. He did it last season. But I'm interested to see if he can do it again. I feel like this really poor start to the season is almost worse than his start last season, in my opinion, even though the record was better this time round.
Yeah, the big one that he knows is the Melmetal, just sacking it. He could have just gone into the Rabombi. It was Focus Sash, so even if the Como set up, he would be fine. And then he outspeeds it if it doesn't. And then, yeah, the Halucha, I'm not too sure, but it was a little strange that he went back to Slowbro to kind of just take a Shadow Ball, so he basically didn't have an extra sack in the end that may have mattered. The special Incineroar was definitely an interesting bring for the Corviknight. It definitely, I guess, caught Rabbit a bit unaware because it was like max attack from what I could tell with the Corviknight. it did a decent amount of damage, but just wasn't enough because the Coma was still around, so couldn't really clean.
Yeah, definitely scary signs, but obviously EXO has made a lot of changes. We have talked about them. EXO and I did actually talk after we did Pick'ems. We had a look at it afterwards. He's ultimately decided to bring Jellicent in for Slowbro. Interestingly, he picked up Glaceon. Not a pick I'm a huge fan of myself. Also, I'm very annoyed at him for giving Rabombi away. He got Galvantula instead, which definitely makes sense because obviously he got rid of his G-Max. So that definitely changes the way the game plays for him. So I'll be interested to see how this team develops and how EXO can pilot this change team. Is it still going to be a problem? Because he does still have quite a few upper tiers to work with, and we do know him as a lower tier specialist. So be very interested to see the way this turns out and if he continues to choke.
Yeah, so he's got Hatterene now. So I used that last season. It's a monster, and I don't even think without a life orb it's just still going to be a monster. Gets to do its same old trick room nonsense. We'll see how it goes for him. It's definitely a good pickup.
Yeah. Right. Coming in at number 8 then is gonna be Galaxy. We continue to see a lot of frailty here in this game. I'm confused by his team builds in general. In both weeks, I'm not entirely convinced by his team that he even brought. But the kind of most hilarious thing to me was at the end game where he just kept Dragon Clawing Galarian Weezing. I don't quite know what he was hoping to achieve by that, but it was pretty interesting to me. But either way, I don't think the game really felt that impressive. There were some close moments, but not too many. I felt like he just got completely outplayed.
Yeah, there was a lot of strange switch-ins, like he sacked Cinderace for no reason. I liked the Milotic with the Whirlpool. It basically just countered the Gardevoir, which was pretty nice. Took nothing from a T-Bolt. And yeah, the Lycanroc just got to basically do whatever it wanted. Yeah, the play at the end, fairly strange, and what happened to Corviknight was apparently a misclick when he was in Orbeetle. So those happen from time to time. Not much you can do about it. Just don't misclick.
Yep, simple as that. Pay attention to what you're clicking before you click them. We've all been there, we've all done that, but yeah, nonetheless though, that can't happen, especially against some pretty tough players. So hopefully we start seeing a comeback from him. Hopefully we start seeing his battle mechanics improve, because if his team building is as good as EXO thinks it is, then we need to see it, because this is 2 games now, and this is 2 games we haven't seen it. So getting a little bit worried. Alright, coming in at number 7 then is gonna be Poker, of course. The second week in a row that he's actually won his game, unfortunately, of course, due to his forfeiture in week 1. I did appreciate the not Life Orb nickname on the Dreadnought. That was a pretty good way to not deal with that again. I was actually very impressed. This is something that I wasn't too convinced by originally when I see it all in on a rain team. But he's been piloting this incredibly well. In both games, he's looked very controlled. He's looked very calm. And he's just pulled out a nice win. Did like the Dreadnought sweep at the end. He was kind of allowed to do that. I'm trying to think of like a major misplay. I don't really recall one off the top of my head.
I'm surprised there was no... He didn't bring Seismitoad or Kindra, and there was a... Not necessarily the Kindra part, but for Rotom Wash, Seismitoad seemed like a decent bring, but... Because it was kind of free to like Volt Switch on his team and just be annoying. He did have Zeraora though, so I guess that stops the Volt Switch, so I guess that's the reasoning why. Yeah,
we did actually see an instance where... Tyler actually went for a wild charge into the Pelipper and gave Zeraora a fair bit of its health back. So we did actually see that Volt Absorb did come into play. But I felt like, generally speaking, he positioned pretty nicely. He used his weather turns very well. Did like the rather interesting Sizzle set. We don't see a lot of defensive Sizzles in the current metagame. But I did like the sub SD set. I think it definitely caught Tyler completely unawares. especially turn 1. We'll talk about that when we get to Tyler, because I have some rather interesting things to say about that one. But yeah, it was definitely a fascinating game. We're seeing some very good mastery of Rain here, and I'm excited for this, because obviously with these kind of matches it definitely makes it interesting. Weather games are always tough, especially if you don't have the best weather answers on your team. He actually plays Galaxy this week, so that's going to be a hard one for Galaxy, I think. I think Poker's skill level is definitely higher.
Yeah, for sure. See how that goes.
Alright. Coming in at number 6 then is going to be Skinny Biscuits. Kind of falling down the table, pretty much where we expected him to end up. Obviously, you're the expert on this one, seeing as it was you who played him, so feel free to break it down.
Yeah, so I really liked the start with the whole Magnezone trapping me. I kind of thought about this coming, but I wasn't sure, and then it happened. I was like, oh no. Well, Excalibur doesn't get to do anything in this game. It almost took it out, but he got like a high roll or something on the second body press. Where it kind of started falling apart was the whole way he played around Mandibuzz. I don't know why he had Rillaboom staying in on the Mandibuzz. I thought that was the last thing that was going to stay in. Stommy seemed like it was going to be super good once Excalibur was gone, so I thought that would be where he'd go, and then obviously the match was kind of over when I foul played as he belly drummed and it just died.
That Slurpuff did not really want a belly drum there at all. Definitely very greedy on Skinny's end. He did just say straight up in the chat that he didn't expect foul play. It's like, well, what else do you expect? Like, Mandibuzz is more known for its utility sets. It's not necessarily known for its offensive presence, but foul play is that tech move that Mandibuzz has had ever since it's been released. So, really surprising to see Skinny fall for that. But it definitely does show some fragility in his battling mechanics. He is pretty much Mr. Inconsistent when it comes to his battling. He'll go from the sublime to the ridiculous in a blink of an eye. And it does kind of get scary. Hopefully we don't see too much more of that. I'm just looking at who he plays this time. He actually plays Ted, who is currently bottom, so this should be a match that should regain his confidence. On paper, he's got a decent matchup looking at it very quickly. So I'm looking to see Skinny actually be on the more sublime end rather than the ridiculous end this time around. Alright. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Tyler, of course. Oh, man. Oh, Tyler. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, when I watched your video, I was kind of a little bit tilted. Part of me kind of worries that you think you're worrying too much about, like, what we think of you, instead of actually just playing the battle. You're playing the battle faster than Michael Schumacher drives a Formula 1 car. You're playing way too fast and you're not thinking. The turn 1, to me, was probably the biggest disappointment I've seen in a turn 1 play, because Final Gambit on Shuckle makes 0 sense. Now, for those who are not familiar with how Final Gambit works, Final Gambit knocks out the user, and the amount of HP that was taken is the amount of damage that is done. Now, Shuckle has a base HP stat of 20, which means its maximum is 244. Now, a Scizor with 0 IVs and 0 EVs in HP has 251 HP, which means that Shuckle ain't killing that Scizor. So I don't really understand why you would ever use this, especially as he didn't even set up any hazards whatsoever. There was no kind of pressure to bring in Poker's removal. I'm assuming it was probably Rapid Spin on Avalugg. I think Avalugg gets Rapid Spin, I can't remember.
Yep.
Or Defog on Pelipper, one of the two, either way. I'm pretty sure it's probably on Avalugg because the Pelipper was not heavy-duty boots. So, definitely a bizarre play to me. I'm not really convinced by it. There were some good moments though. I did like the burn on the Zeraora. Definitely gave him some outs to come back into the game. But Haxorus didn't do anything at all. The Gengar G-Max, while it was fine, it was kind of wasteful to just use it for one turn. We definitely have struggled to see decent usage out of this Gengar. But yeah, there were some good moments, but there weren't enough good moments to win the game.
Yeah, that that whole turn 1, I feel like you go Arcanine. Scizor can't really do a lot. It seemed like it was some sort of defensive Arcanine. The way he played it. It had sunny day on it for the weather, which was nice. But yeah, Choco hasn't really done that much in the GPL history.
No, it's generally not a Pokemon that we typically see do well. Yeah, definitely starting to see a worrying sign here. Tyler needs to slow down. Like, it's as simple as that. He needs to slow down and actually think about his plays before he does them. Because it looked like he was playing like he knew what he was doing, but it turns out he didn't, because he lost. It's as simple as that. Like, obviously, yes, it's a 1-0, so it's not the hugest deal in the world. He's still got a positive differential, which is nice. It's a good way to start, but I'm really looking to see him improve a lot more, because he is facing an Exo who is potentially on a rejuvenation arc with changes to his team. He needs to start picking up the wins against these kind of players, because Exo is below him right now. These are the kind of wins you want to make happen, so that you can potentially be looking towards playoffs. Obviously, it's early days, but having missed playoffs last season, I expect to see him make a push. That's what I'm expecting. But slow the hell down, man. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 4 is gonna be you. Am I too surprised to see this? Not really. Mandibuzz pretty much did the most of the work. I definitely like that Mandibuzz play. Definitely highlight of the season for me already is just watching a Slurpuff die to a foul play. That's definitely one of my favorite moments so far. I'm just trying to see who else got the kills. I know Mandibuzz did a lot of work. Dragapult picked up 2, Rotom got 1, and Mamo picked up 1.
Yeah, they just kind of cleaned it at the end.
Definitely
I didn't really understand the Thievul in this matchup. It proves Ribombee even more right that this Pokemon does nothing. But
of course, Thievul's trash. Sorry, Denny, but it's true. Deal with it.
But I understood him not bringing Volcarona to this match. I had
for sure.
few counters for
had
it.
A terrible matchup.
But yeah, I pretty much just concealed this game. There was some banter in the chat about it. Sucker Punch Thievul. I'm like, nah, that's not coming. Get out of here. It had to be banded to kill me anyway.
Yeah. I did like that. It was funny.
But yeah, as I said with Skinny, it just kind of fell apart once the Slurpuff did its thing, and
once his win condition was gone, that was it. It was game over. Not the most fun times, but definitely a nice rejuvenation from you. You didn't have to worry about a Lycanroc this week, so definitely helped you out. So in that case, guys, we didn't quite nerf Trancel too hard yet. We're on it. We're trying. Who's he playing? Oh, you're playing Pelly, so you get another loss this week. Feels good, man. Alright.
Hey.
Dear. Alright then, moving swiftly on before I get slapped. Coming in at number 3 then is going to be Solo Destroyer. Thankfully not Choco Destroyer so far this season. Back-to-back wins. And pretty much what I expect from Solo. Pretty aggressive, pretty in your face. Which is kind of what I like about Solo. One of my favorite players to watch for sure. Well, that Lycanroc does
interesting. Well. Yeah, it's interesting. He hasn't been bringing Hydreigon, so see where that comes in.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that.
Doesn't have exactly the best matchup against Rabbit this week either, with all the ice types and stuff. But obviously gets Flamethrower for Rabbit's 6th week to Fire Team, but he has a Cinderace. But anyway, back to the game. So yeah, Lycanroc absolutely just popped off. The whole sneaky sack at the end, we all know what that's for.
Yep. Totally not anything for me. Nope, not at all. We'll talk about that in Pick'ems, because it's definitely pretty funny. But nah, I did kind of find it funny a lot of the time where he just DM'd me after the game, and he DM'd me a spoiler, and he's like, click on this after the game, and it was like, yeah, I sacked this for your Pick'em points, and if it comes back to bite me in the ass later, I'm never doing it again. Good old Solo. I do like the good old bit of banter, but it was pretty funny. Definitely a bizarre turn of events at the end of the game. I don't think I've ever seen that in a GPL before. But definitely fun. He's definitely looking strong. Playing against Rabbit will be an interesting test. And speak of the Rabbit, and he shall appear. Rabbit's actually next. Back-to-back 4-0 wins. Kind of impressed. I was not quite sure what to expect from Rabbit, as we know Rabbit can often be a little bit experimental. But I feel like he just put EXO way out of the game. Definitely that combo set really was somewhat impressive to me. I think he played it very, very nicely as a whole. Looking forward to seeing more of what we can see from Rabbit. The Cursor was an interesting pick. EXO didn't see it coming at all. I actually thought it might come. And definitely did a little bit of work. I'm not really sure how EXO expected to set up on it, personally. But yeah, definitely interesting. And Rabbit's kind of showing that when he actually does put his mind to it, he's actually pretty scary. I'm pretty glad I'm not having to face him so far.
Yeah, I think I played him in the last week, so definitely will be interesting. Yeah, so Como was pretty solid. Basically did what it had to do, killed the Mill Metal. Stunfisk unfortunately was the victim of Mill Metal and just fell over.
Just got yeeted out of here, just got stamped on.
Yeah.
No mousetrap for that. Yeah, definitely a tough one.
Was pretty solid at the start, to weaken the Sand Slash, and then yeah, Cursor, I feel like it got to do more than it really should have.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Then a nice finish once again with Corviknight. Very high in the kills now. I think it's got like 6, so he's been finishing with that well, and it's not normally the kind of offensive, like crazy offensive G-Max, but he's been using more offensive sets for it. Very solid use of it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing him take on Solo. I think that's going to be a really, really fun match to watch. Again, that's going to be 2 people who play each other, and one of them's going to lose their undefeated streak. So we'll see how well that turns out. But that means coming in at rank number 1 after whinging at me on the Kami stream last week that he wasn't ranked number 1, he's ranked number 2. He went out and just defied me to prove me wrong by taking a 6-0. Pele is up here. Not too surprised, in all honesty. No being harsh to Ted, but this is very much an experience mismatch, and it very much showed. I think, generally speaking, Pele just played this all round exactly how you'd expect Pele to have played this game. Obviously, Drake's ult never missing was always nice. Definitely comes in, puts in the work. Definitely very, very strong play. Poor Ted felt terrible after the game. But yeah, this is typical Pele. When he's at his best, this is the deadly form that he can get to. Definitely kind of scared of him. Hopefully I don't face him if I make to playoffs, but we'll see. Obviously having to play you this week, definitely going to be a much more stern test for him. I'll be interested to see how well he handles you and what he can actually even do against you.
Yeah, I've had a bit of look, but I have to have a bit more of a look at this matchup because it's definitely a very interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. But either way, of course, that is going to round out the Hoenn League Power Rankings for week number 2. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Rybombi Teacher. That's Trancel.
Yeah, later guys.
Alright, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.